much when any old folks wish them well.
All right, folks. Welcome to the show today. I am Aaron. He is Bart. We love movies. And today we're going to talk about kid movies because a lot of people are home with their kids right now. A lot of people, their kids don't have school. We're talking to you as of March 2020. This is Netflix US. And so today it's just what you can watch with your kids, what you can send your kids to watch on their own. It's a kids show. So Bart, why don't you get us started? What do you have for movies for kids?
I got Good Burger. It's from 1997. It's about two competing burger joints. One that's been there a long time and stars our heroes Kenan Thompson, who you probably know from Saturday Night Live because he's been on there forever, and Kel Mitchell, who is hilarious in this film. He does the dumb guy thing better than anybody I've ever seen. He's a genius. I don't know where he went. I don't know why he's not the one who's on Saturday Night Live because he's far funnier than Kenan Thompson in this movie. Sinbad is in here. Abe Vigoda, Shaquille O'Neal, and yeah, I haven't seen it in a long time, but I used to watch it a whole bunch when it first came out on VHS. Used to watch it in the video store a lot and laugh, and I think your kids are gonna love it.
All right, cool. That sounds awesome. What else you got?
I got Monster House, 2006 computer animated CGI kids movie extravaganza about a haunted house, voiced by Steve Buscemi. For the grown-ups, I'm going to mention that it's written by Dan Harmon. Labor of love of his. He's the guy who's behind Rick and Morty and Community, and really smart writer, really, kind of subversive. All the hipsters love that guy, Dan Harmon, and it's a good one and kind of overlooked, kind of forgotten, but go back and look at this movie because everybody in your family is going to love it.
That sounds awesome. I have in my notes here that you want to talk about a Robert Altman film. We're talking about kids here, Bart.
Yes, Robert Altman, director of Nashville, The Long Goodbye, lots of really heady 70s movies.
My daughter's favorites.
He also, in 1980, did a kids movie that I loved when I was younger, Popeye, from 1980. And I watched it fairly recently with my son, and he loved it as much as I did at the time. Lots of good sight gags, a lot of physical humor, and also a lot of jokes that are kind of in the background. Robin Williams plays Popeye, and he's always mumbling under his breath, and what he's saying is really funny if you actually can pay attention and listen to what he's saying. Shelley Duvall plays Olive Oyl in a role she was born to play.
Yeah, I can just picture her as Olive Oyl and nothing else now that you mentioned it.
Thrills, excitement, comedy, it's all there. Watch Popeye.
That sounds like a great show. What else you got?
Oh, Netflix is also showing Boy and the World, which is a Brazilian cartoon, hand-drawn cartoon, amazing looking, that I also watched with my son, and it was a while ago, so he was probably like 6 or 7, and he definitely enjoyed it. There's not any spoken dialogue. There's a lot of people are making noises that sort of resemble dialogue, but it's not in any language, so it's not like you have to read subtitles, and it's not dubbed or anything. It's just a story of a boy. It's another lost father story, like Popeye. This kid just sort of travels the world, this sort of futuristic, but it also sort of resembles the favelas in Rio, and amazing animation. It works on a lot of levels. It's sort of a journey into this kid's soul and what it means to grow up, and it's perfect for adults and kids, and like I said, it's even your very young ones will love this one, because mine did.
This is why I like doing these shows, because if I saw this title on Netflix, I probably would scroll past it, especially if I knew that there was no words. But if you're telling me that Boy in the World is worth checking out, I think it's something that's definitely going to go to the top of my list.
Just watch the trailer for it, and then once you see the animation style, you'll be hooked, and it's got a great story. I thought it was perfect. I remember watching it at the time, and we used to rate things at the video store, and I gave it a 10 out of 10.
Oh my god, that's amazing. I got one more from you. According to my notes, it's your favorite movie, right?
No, it's a sequel to literally my favorite movie, which is Pee-wee's Big Adventure. This is Pee-wee's Big Holiday, a made-for-Netflix film, which I really enjoyed. Paul Reubens is back with his famous Pee-wee Herman character, and he's just a waiter in a small town. A stranger rolls into town, played by Joe Manganiello, and Pee-wee develops a hero crush, a man crush on him, and it's Joe Manganiello playing himself, the famous actor Joe Manganiello, who you know from Magic Mike and all sorts of stuff. There's no male stripping in this movie. It's purely okay for the kiddos.
Darn it.
A lot of funny stuff. There's one gag where Pee-wee entertains a bunch of Amish people with just a balloon that's worth the price of admission, which is $0 because you're already paying for Netflix. So go check that one out. Definitely better than Big Top Pee-wee, but not as good as Pee-wee's Big Adventure because nothing is.
Nothing is as good as maybe Claire's Neat, but probably not even that. Nah. All right, so yeah, those 5 great movies. I think that 2 or 3 of those you hooked me with. But the one I really like for kids right now is Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
That's good.
I saw this in the theater. I've seen this a couple times at home with my kiddos, and I think it's fantastic.
Yeah, amazing animation. Never seen anything like it. A great Post Malone song in there. I hate Post Malone, but that song Sunflower is pretty good.
I think the whole score is great, and I think the focus on kids' perspective is really done
well here. It's really a Spider-Man story. What happens when you have great powers?
What do you do with that? You grow into those powers. So I couldn't recommend this film more.
And it's not Peter Parker as Spider-Man, so don't go into it expecting that.
Right, Peter Parker is in the film, but it's not his story. If you haven't seen this, I highly recommend it. I think it's fantastic. And then in terms of television, I think there's some great stuff out there for series. A couple of sort of more standard series that I would recommend. The
latest incarnation of a series of unfortunate events, which is based on a series of books.
It's a Netflix original, and I think it's really, really well done.
It is well done.
The 2 child actors do a great job. It also has Neil Patrick Harris being sort of a really slimy bad guy. I think this is really fun watch.
Yeah, I watched pieces of it with my son. We read through all the books, which are terrific, and I thought it did as good a job as anybody could do adapting these books. Neil Patrick Harris outdoes Jim Carrey as Count Olaf. If you've seen the movie version of Series of Unfortunate Events, this is actually a lot better.
Yeah, it looks like it's really faithful to the books. I haven't read the books, but it just looks like a love letter to the books to me, and it's great. I highly recommend it.
Yeah.
A couple of series that I want to recommend because I think they're kind of creative in their presentation. Carmen Sandiego, To Steal or Not to Steal, and You vs. Wild. Obviously, Carmen Sandiego is based on an old property that has been around for a while. It's educational, it's geographic. This incarnation isn't quite as educational as the original, but the cool thing about it, both of these series, is that they follow sort of a choose-your-own-adventure model, where every 5 minutes, every 10 minutes, the character stops and says, we have a choice to make. Are we going to sneak into the castle, or are we going to shoot our way into the castle? And depending on which action you choose, the story progresses in a different way. And I just think this is really fun. I've watched this with my kids, and it's just fun. It's fun to be interactive with your story. There are consequences. Sometimes Carmen Sandiego doesn't succeed. Sometimes bad things happen to her because of your choices. So I've only watched 1 episode of this series, I should say, but I like the format. So I don't know how well it holds up other than the format, but I think the format is really worth watching. The other one that follows the same format is You vs. Wild. This is Bear Grylls in the wild sort of doing his I'm a survivor shtick, except every 5 minutes he turns to the camera and asks the audience, what should I do? Should I try to hike over the mountain, or should I try to get some sleep and hike in the morning? I think it's a really fun thing to do with kids. Whoever has the remote sort of gets ultimate control, but how do you vote? How do you decide? I think it's an interesting format, and I think it's a lot of fun, and people would like it if they checked it out.
Cool.
And then one last thing, if your kids are at home, not going to school for weeks or however long it's going to be, yes, education is important, and there's a lot of great educational stuff on Netflix in terms of, David Attenborough style nature shows. There's tons of them. There's Night on Earth, Our Planet, Oceans, Wild Alaska. You can find these things pretty easily. They're fantastic. Some of them are really great. One thing that I think might be worth thinking about is there a way that we can develop skills? And there's a Bob Ross show on Netflix. Bob Ross, Beauty is Everywhere. If your kiddo has any artistic inclinations at all, this is a great opportunity to say, an hour a week, an hour a day, let's learn how to paint with Bob Ross. Because is there a better way to learn how to paint than with Bob Ross? I don't think so. Those are my TV picks. If there's one thing I think I'm going to check out from this, it's probably going to be either Boy in the World or Monster House. Those you sold me on both of those. I'd never heard of them before. What about you, Bart? Was there anything that you either saw when you were doing research that you hadn't seen or you heard about that you want to check out?
I mean, there are a couple things on there that that I would be willing to check out with my son. Mary Poppins Returns, I have been meaning to see. And I mean, I'm a huge fan of the original, and Lin-Manuel Miranda is in this this new one. Yeah, there was something else, but I forget what it was.
The Little Prince, an animated film.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
It looks really interesting. It looks like it's really well done. I haven't checked it out, so I can't recommend it. But you know, this is a great time for me to go back and take a look at it.
It got really good reviews. It doesn't stick to the original story, but it is supposed to be very, very good. So check out The Little Prince.
That sounds great. Exploring movies, that's what this is all about. Well, thanks for joining us, folks. If you have kiddos at home, then, you know, maybe this was helpful, hopefully. And we will see you next time.
Bye.
You don't see it when none of your folks wish them well. You see that the attitude.
I think we did a good job. I think we've provided an important service for everybody and their kids.